I treated myself to a really expensive pedicure the other day. Everything they did right, except the e-filing. And the results, I'm not happy about, but I want to show you what happened. I love getting pedicures. I don't want to do my own pedicure. It's just really nice to have a very nice high-end treatment. But I want to show you what happened. I'm going to get my foot on the table. Last time I did this was quite a few years ago. Let's see if I can still do it. Okay, let me get this nasty thing up here. Okay, this is the toe in question. Now, needs a pedicure because this is a little while ago that I went. And I was toying whether to do this or not because I don't want to call anybody out. This is purely education. This is to help if you're in the same position. So the experience was, everything was great. 10 out of 10 on every other point. The atmosphere, the cleanliness, the tools, everything was great. But this person picked up the e-file and needed to take off my gel polish. So they held the e-file like this and started going like this and like this, like frantic. And I was like, ooh, okay. Now, I have never seen anybody hold an e-file like that. But I thought, I'll trust their process. Maybe they've been doing this for a while and that works for them. So I let it go. By the third toe, the heat was so severe, I actually pulled my foot away because it really, really burned. And I really don't want a hole through my toenails. And toenails, so you know, are thicker than fingernails. So if I'm feeling the heat on a toenail, we got a lot of friction going on there. So when I pulled away, I mean, that's the worst feeling for a provider, service provider, to have a client jerk away like that. It makes you like, ooh, you know, but that's what a customer does when something hurts naturally. It's just an automatic instinct. So what do? I don't want to come across, you know, but I certainly don't want to get burned again. And with that technique, I can see that's what's going to happen. So I gently said, oh, it's just maybe I'm a little more sensitive. Maybe it's just getting a little bit hot. And I thought they would pull back a little bit. So they did. They started filing and then they said, oh, I've been doing this for over 20 years. So right away, the defense mechanism came in. And I get that. But then I thought, well, if you've been doing this for 20 years and that's the defense that you have, then you're not really listening or learning why this is happening. And the reason why it's happening is because there's not a lot of control when you're holding the e-file. So that's why I thought I should do this video. This is the result of improper e-filing skills. So we're going to back it up a little bit. So right now I'm going to show you what happens when you have bad e-filing skills, because I got a feeling there's some bad stuff going on under here. Because now I'm looking at this, and because they're toes too, you don't get too close to looking at it, so I just let it go. But when it grows out, these are a few weeks old, as you can see, they've grown out quite a bit. But look what's starting to happen, right? Look at this flap. It's like, okay, well, they're 3 weeks old. That's going to happen. That's not a chip. I'm able to peel that off. That's not properly cured either. But what really happened here, when it started to grow, I started to really realize, see how, I don't know if the camera can really capture it because it is a very dark color. But this, actually, can you see this? Can you pick up that, cameraman?
You talking about the wrinkles?
Well, the wrinkle I'm making, can you see
soft.
That dent? Oh my goodness. Yeah. So you can see that?
I do see that, yeah.
Yeah. So when I first had them done, they were all new and shiny and right to the cuticle. And because you don't get this close, I mean, who checks their pedicure? Oh yeah, that's good. I'll pay now. We don't do that. They're far away and it was black, so you couldn't really see the wrinkles so hard, right? Besides, I'm not going to ask them to do it again because clearly this is a result from poor e-file skills and they're just going to do the same poor skills again. So 3 weeks later, this is what we have. So let's see if we can get some of this off and see what's going on under here. So the e-file skills, oh, okay. See what's happening here? That is actually kind of, I wouldn't say it's totally wet under there. So, and again, black is a little bit harder, so that's an application issue as well. But because the e-filing skills were so questionable, they left a lot of my previous gel already on there. And I think by this point, when I had mentioned that it was burning, they felt a little bit apprehensive to really dig in there and get all the product off. And they didn't want to dig and hurt my foot again or nail again. So they were trying to not take all that off. But it could be done if they just had the right skills. That's why I'm doing this video, because I want to make sure that you understand that this is I'm just totally trying to educate. I'm not trying to pick on anybody. That's why no names are being mentioned whatsoever. I will go back to this salon. They were awesome on every single other point. Okay, so we can just pull this off. When it's like that, it's not fully cured. Okay, but I just want to see if we can get to the previous gel color that I had on here. If you can even see it. I'm assuming actually that they didn't get all the gel off, and maybe it was just a poor application as far as the polish goes. Yeah, I've never actually experienced this before, of the gel just kind of peeling off like that. I usually wear it until it literally grows all the way up to here, and then I get a new gel polish application, especially in the winter, right? I've been doing this ever since gel polish came out, so I have a lot of experience of wearing it. Okay, so let's see if I can just file and see if I can have the other color comes up, and we can see if there's any left on there. Now forgive me, this is a bit awkward. Okay. Okay, I don't really see much of the other color on this toe. Okay, so why we have all this wrinkle was improper application. But when I went in and they caused the burn, that was because they just had these really, really poor e-file skills. So when you go in at a toe or finger, anything, what are the proper skills? Well, I don't know if I can really show you with these particular toes, but I can try. Okay, so I will say that all along I thought the gel polish application was so poor because they didn't get all the previous gel polish off, and the cuticle was the area that they were having the most difficulty with. But it appears now it is the gel polish application. So I'm gonna work backwards and still show you the e-filing skills, because they were still, that was still the issue, and that's why I'm doing this video, because I was appalled at that. I was really, really shocked. And if they had just talked to me for a bit more, I would have given them a free information right then and there, and would have changed their nail game as far as e-filing skills, and it would have made it so much easier on them. They wouldn't have to have had any issues with other people getting hurt, right? So all they had to do was hold the e-file correctly. Like I say, I have never in my entire career, even educating students, I don't think I've ever seen anybody hold it like this and then go like that. And the reason why that's so bad, you might think, well, what's the big deal? That's how I eat my food. The reason why it's so bad is because we are doing little detail areas on a nail, fingernail or toenail, doesn't matter. What you have to do is anchor yourself, okay? So this is what, and this is a very awkward angle, but you're coming at a person, or you're doing yourself, or you're doing your foot on a table. You must anchor that pinky or this finger, whichever is your anchor finger. That was their biggest flaw in the whole entire appointment. Everything else was quite good. And I will go back, like I said, but that was the biggest mistake that they made as far as the e-file. You just have to anchor your finger, and then you can get those little tiny details, which is what they couldn't get. See how much you can get those little spots? Just because, now if you're going at it like this, you can hit it, but you don't have the control. See that? Oh, see the drill will just take off. You have no control over that drill. So if you just anchor, see how much control I have? And I can go into those little dots and get those little things up. See that? It just changes the nail game completely. So we're gonna go backwards. I'm gonna show you my other foot and show you more dramatically how we should start that. We're going all the way to the beginning of the appointment. Just let me change feet. Let me get my other foot on the table. Okay, so this one, remember I said we're kind of going backwards. We established the problem, and then we're gonna go backwards. So at the beginning of the appointment, this is what the service provider should have done right from the get-go. Turn your e-file onto a low speed. Make sure you got the right bit to pull off the gel. Find a point to stabilize your e-filing. And in this case, because it's awkward, I'm putting my pinky on my fingers are part of the toe. And this is what you need to do, is you make long, steady strokes to get the polish off. This is a very, very low speed. I've got it on literally a 2. Okay, that is effective e-filing. That you'll be able to get it right off. Even at the cuticles, because remember, when you're going in for a gel polish change, it's already grown out a little bit, so it's not right at the cuticle. So for them to just go right near the cuticle like that, look at that, you can just get it completely off. Going at it, like, remember, this is what the provider did. There's absolutely no control whatsoever. I do have some gel polish. I did notice that they did leave a little bit of gel polish at the cuticle area that they just felt maybe they didn't want to dig in there a bit more because I'd already pulled away because it was super, super hot, right? I mean, it literally burned. You know what that's like, right? It was very, very painful. So as we can see, is going through this now, I can see there's 2 issues. The way they were holding the e-file and the application of the gel polish. Now, this is a very dark color, so as a little side note, when you're doing dark colors, you really want to go quite a bit thinner and we wouldn't have such a wrinkly. And I think it actually probably looked good when I left, but gel polish wrinkles, even a couple of days later, it can still wrinkle if it was not cured properly. And so we have 2 issues going on. Now, I will say, I did really, really like the location. I loved the atmosphere. I loved the service provider. They were very, very sweet. Did everything great, except they could pick up the skills on this and the holding their e-file. Now, what's interesting, what really brought my attention to the whole thing was the service provider was a little bit defensive. And I understand that we've all been in that position when we're trying to learn, especially. But this provider's been around doing the nails for 20 years, as they indicated to me. And the reason why I felt that their e-file skills were so poor or uneducated or not very experienced is because they weren't really listening. Not to me, doesn't matter who I was, but as a customer, it's very important to listen to the customer. So if the customer is pulling away and going, ouch, we have to examine why that's happening. If this particular person examined that, they would have learned that they're holding their e-file wrong. And they could have fixed that quite easily in their 20-year career and would have avoided that altogether, because that doesn't have to happen. That's why I wanted to use this moment as a teachable moment for anybody who might be struggling with holding the e-file. I mean, it's not very comfortable. It's awkward. And getting used to that, putting your pinky out and stabilizing, is quite awkward. So I understand why this service provider didn't really go there, because it is really awkward at first. But in the long run, learning how to use your e-file makes it worth the money that I paid for in a very high-end salon and makes you an exceptional artist. So if you're a service provider, this actually applies to hairdressing, makeup, tattoo, anything, really, when you're dealing with the public. If the public is giving you some kind of feedback, listen to that feedback. That might be the secret to help you advancing to up those skills so you can do a totally top-notch, high-end job. I will go back to the salon. I actually really liked it there. Everything about it was great, but I might remove my own gel polish this time. I just wanted to run that by you guys and show you my experience in a high-end salon and how we can fix it quite easily with just learning the proper e-file skills. Thanks for joining me in this video. I gotta put my leg down now.